So most of the people who are coming to the United States at the moment are these migrants from Central America. And these are the people that are showing up at the border and who are at the heart of this crisis. The issue with migrants from Central America is that they're sort of coming for two reasons. They're coming because of violence from gangs and because of violence from warfare, but they're also coming because the gang violence and the warfare has prevented them from making a better life, from being able to support their children and hopefully give them a better future. The problem in our system is that our system, like many systems around many countries around the world, differentiates between asylum seekers who are coming here because they're persecuted and economic migrants who are coming here because they're trying to find a better life. And the problem is that it's very difficult when a person is leaving their country for a variety of reasons, all of which are legitimate in the sense that they are being pushed out in the sense that they need to leave, but which don't map very neatly on the distinctions that we make between persecution versus wanting a better life. So many people have asked, why don't these migrants just apply to become immigrants of the United States? And this is actually a really difficult process because the American migration system is set up to do two things. One, to allow family members to bring other people in their immediate family to the U.S. So their children, their spouse, their parents. The second thing that our system is set up to do is to bring skilled immigrants, highly skilled immigrants to the United States. Those highly skilled immigrants can be an employer can find them, can hire them from another country, knows the skills that they are bringing, and is then able to find a place for them in their work. But if you are a low-skilled immigrant, if you have not graduated from high school, if you are, for instance, a landscaper, right? A landscaper in the United States is not going to have the money to go to Guatemala and recruit landscaper workers. A landscaper in the United States is going to have no way of figuring out who in Guatemala might be a good addition to their crew, right? And so if a landscaper, if a restaurant owner, if a construction manager needs workers, it is very difficult, almost impossible for them to apply and sponsor an immigrant to come to the United States to do that kind of work because they don't know who the immigrants are. They haven't been able to recruit them, right? And so they are not able to sponsor them by name. We don't have a system in the United States that says, you want to come to the U.S., you have these skills, you're an employer, you need these skills, let's match you up. We don't do it. We leave it to the employer. And therefore, people who are low-skilled and who are filling important jobs in our economy don't have a way of getting sponsored by an employer who needs them. When somebody shows up at a port of entry or whether they are caught crossing the border, Customs and Border Patrol makes a determination immediately about whether they might fit into the asylum category or if they instead fit into the economic migrant category. Until the Trump administration, people who fit into the economic migrant category and therefore had no right to be in the United States were generally given either voluntary return, which means they themselves agreed that they would leave, or they were given expedited return, which means that the federal government makes a note of the fact that you have tried to cross the border, sends you back to your own country, usually after a period of detention, because we don't trust you to go back on your own, and gives you a 5-year ban so that in the next 5 years, you cannot apply legally to come to the U.S. If the Customs and Border Patrol agent determines that you're an asylum seeker instead, again, up until today, up until what the Trump administration has put through, the Customs and Border Patrol had two options. They could, again, say, all right, you have a claim to need protection here. We are going to put you in detention until we have the ability to listen to your claim and make a decision on it. Or they would say, you've got a claim. it'll be heard on such and such a date. In the meantime, we're going to parole you into the United States. And in the Obama administration, electronic monitoring was often added. A tether was often added so that we could keep track of the people who were released into the United States until their court date. What the Trump administration has done is that it's added a step that was legally available to prior administrations, but which prior administrations chose not to use. And that is to say, if you have crossed the border illegally, or even if you've presented yourself as a port of entry and asked for asylum, if we think that your asylum claim is false, or you have crossed the border illegally, we're going to prosecute you for a misdemeanor criminal offense first. And that's what's causing family separation, because when you prosecute people, they no longer go to immigration detention, they go to criminal jail. And children, minors in the United States may not be held in a criminal jail. They need to be held in a separate facility of their own. So the parents get placed into criminal prosecution. The kids get taken to detention for immigrant children, and the families are separated. It's really important to remember that migrants don't come to the U.S. knowing American law. They don't know what it is that will allow them to get protection from the U.S. government as a person who is being persecuted, who is in fear of their life. They don't know what those 5 elements, race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or social membership in a social group, they don't understand what that means, right? They're coming because they're frightened, because violence has touched their lives, has often injured or killed people in their family. And whether that fits the criteria that the United States has for protection, that it's not their job to figure it out. It's the government's job to figure that out. The problem now is that the Trump administration has basically decided that almost all of these people who are coming are not only not eligible for asylum, and they're doing that before they interview individuals. They're not only deciding that they're probably not eligible for asylum, they're also deciding that they're probably only claiming asylum because they want to get into the United States. Nothing's really happened to them. They're lying, right? And because of that, the Trump administration has taken every excuse possible to either tell people, we don't have room for you, go away and apply another day, or to say, well, you can ask for asylum, but we're going to prosecute you first for coming to the border without the right papers. And because you're going to go into jail, your kids are going to be separated from you. And then after you serve your sentence, we'll consider whether you have an asylum claim. They're adding this period of criminal prosecution and detention to the asylum process.